Sup guys, Heat King here, bringing you a film review on, well, obviously enough, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. So I know, this is a bit late. Good enough reason for that is because I've been trying to get my thoughts together for this movie and maybe to wait to see it again. Haven't seen it again. Will try and see it again. But mostly because I've been writing my thoughts down. And usually people write a script. Others just do it in front of the camera and just get it rolling. Me, I thought, you know what, I'm going to write it down and post it on my blog, which I haven't used in like 2 years. So yeah, I've got it all written down. I've got my review here, all my thoughts together. I've got some negatives to say, but mostly positives. I did enjoy this film, so I'm just going to go right into it and use this as a stepping stone, basically. So yeah, this is going to be a long review as I'm reading all of this out, basically, but hopefully you guys will have fun with it like I did writing this up. So yeah, let's see how this works. Let's see, because this will be an experiment, basically. Like, if this works out fine and I enjoy it, then I'll probably start doing a lot of reviews like this, though it'll take more time because I gotta write it out and then I gotta record it and edit it. So yeah, experiment. Let's see if it works.
Spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. Come on! This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill your destiny.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Heat King movies review on Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I've already said that. The ninth film in a galaxy far, far away. An 8th installment in the ongoing saga that started with George Lucas and brought back by J.J. Abrams with The Force Awakens and continued in this newer installment directed by Rian Johnson, who you'll know for his work on such films as Brick and Looper. So yeah, it's been at least a week since the release of the movie, and already the reception for this particular sequel are mixed, to say the least. The critics loved it. Well, you know, it's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, for Christ's sake. So yeah, they obviously loved it, but it's got a 56% on audience reaction. So yeah, that's how many audiences seemed to enjoy it. It seems, as always, that the people who really hate Star Wars will always be its fans, unfortunately. But in this case, the mixed love and hate relationship people are having with the latest space opera is more or less justified and understandable, if blown a little bit out of proportion. So yeah, the hate is like, it's too much, guys. Like, you really need to calm down. Like, I get it, there are flaws in this, but it's not all that bad. So just chill for a second. So yeah, first things first, did I enjoy the film myself? Did I like it? And do I think it's a good movie? Well, to answer those questions, yes, I enjoyed myself. Yes, I liked it. And yes, I do think this is a good film and a very good Star Wars episode at that. But by no means is it great. And nor is it bad or terrible, as many have reported or are saying. Like the rest of the saga, it is its own unique take, taking its place as one of many in the series to have a mixed reaction to it. If you guys remember, The Empire Strikes Back was hated, at least. It had a mixed reception as well when it first came out. A lot of people didn't like Empire Strikes Back, and now it's regarded as one of the best movies and best Star Wars films to date. Now, this film, I had a bit of a, my mind kept racing. Do I think it's good, but do I think it's a bad Star Wars movie? I don't think it's neither. I think it's a decent film. I think it's a decent Star Wars movie. But obviously there are flaws, and those flaws are understandable. But Christ, the amount of people are like just ripping into this. It's like, take a step back and just breathe. As a viewer, I had fun with it, and while many will find this movie disappointing, confusing even at times, insulting to our intelligence, this is still an entertaining ride, the way a Star Wars movie should at least attempt to be. The problem lies in its execution. Star Wars The Last Jedi is a movie filled with some interesting concepts and ideas. Ideas from the past that are further explored in the present and hopefully much more grander in the future. And has some of the best looking visuals and cinematography out of any of the films. The movie is gorgeous to look at. And some moments, some shots just feel like paintings come to life. From a technical standpoint, this is perhaps the best Star Wars to date. The film is also heavenly action-packed, delivering on fast-paced space battles that The Force Awakens failed to deliver on, and includes one of the best and most unique, dare I say, looking and creative lightsaber battles to date. And I use the keyword battle, not duel, carefully. Without spoiling things yet, fans will be disappointed to know that there is no standard lightsaber duel in this one, which is both surprising and a unique creative choice. One that even Rogue One decided upon. But we are giving something instead. Something new, not seen or done in the films before. And for us, from delivering on newer concepts and actions not seen before, the movie definitely shines in those aspects. That said, while this looks and feels different to the rest of the saga, it still retains elements of nostalgia in the same vein as The Force Awakens. Fans criticized that Episode 7 was nothing more than a carbon copy of the original Star Wars, A New Hope, following in the same plot structures and story tropes, despite the difference in characters, backstories, and development. Seriously, guys, The Force Awakens was original in a lot of ways, more than one. Like, you really gotta pay attention to the details, man. It's all about the details. You know, no one bitches when games do it. Now, when suddenly Star Wars and other films do it, it's the same. Come on. The Last Jedi, many are calling fresh and different, but don't be mistaken. Despite a sleek look, the movie is very much a nostalgic trip that follows in the same formulas as The Empire Strikes Back and even Return of the Jedi. Does this, however, stop the film from being enjoyable? No. I had fun with it, was entertained, and overall had a good time. But when one stops to think for 1 second and start considering all the flaws, the problems start to arise, and the negatives really start to outshine the positives. And for us, the movie really starts to break apart and not hold up very well. But really, the flaws are actually very small when you think about it. The actual main stuff they focus on is really a highlight. Amazing, visually spectacular action sequences and some good performance do not outshine the various plot holes. Poorly written character actions, useless filler subplots, and at times poor pacing and editing. At 2 hours and 30 minutes, this is the longest Star Wars movie to date. And it is filled with very unnecessary things that could have been replaced to develop the current world, characters, and other, stories more. But despite such obvious flaws, the movie still managed to entertain and surprise in creative ways. So yes, there are flaws, like I said. I'm going to get to them. But one of them was definitely the editing and the pacing at times. The film felt a bit disjointed, and it felt like there were scenes missing, and it's obvious because there's at least 20 to 30 minutes of scenes cut for the movie. Some of those aren't going to be important, but from the recent information that's come out, 1 or 2 of those would have been a great benefit to include in the film to add more depth to it and a bit more, structural, strong pacing structure to it. The way it's done is a bit, ooh. And there are plot holes, guys. There are plot holes. A lot of people are not going to argue about these, but there are plot holes. One of those plot holes being, why did Luke leave a map for people to find him if he doesn't want to be found? So it's like, what the hell was the point of that? And then, of course, you got the enemy ships. Why do they not have shields, but the resistance ships do? Okay, that's a nitpick, okay? That's not really important, but still, plot holes or just inconsistency? Any other things? Characters. I'm going to get to those, guys. Don't you worry about that. I'm going to get to those. But yeah, let's dig into the good stuff. The performances by some of the actors, both current and old, return along with some new faces to add a bit of diversity and spice to the sequel's proceedings, which also offers attempts at new relationships and conflicts for the various individual subplots that it has going. Unfortunately, some of these additions are either pointless or not executed properly. The majority of this new story sees many of the characters separated, for those hoping for more interactions and development between the 3 leads, Rey, Finn, and Poe. This does not happen, and each of these characters are separated as they go about their own personal journeys and character growth. So yeah, that's very disappointing actually. This is definitely one of the more disappointing things. We don't get any Rey or Finn moments in this. We get a bit of Finn and Poe at the beginning, but Rey and Finn, no, which was one of the highlights for me in episode 7. Their character development, their interactions were funny, were nice. I wanted to see more of that, and nothing. And Rey and Poe as well, you know, you thought you were going to see those two interact and meet. Nah, we get one moment, but that's towards the very end, which is a bloody shame. These are our 3 leads. These are meant to be our Luke, Leia, and Han. And nothing. So here's hoping, you know, that's one good thing episode 9 going to have. Hopefully we're going to see these 3 characters together and have more screen time. So yeah, there's definitely a positive there in terms of how they narratively structured this movie. So it's going to be interesting to see. Daisy Ridley returns as the mysterious Rey who attempts to meet and train with the legendary Jedi hero Luke Skywalker in order to learn about the Force and become a Jedi herself. The chemistry she has with Luke, of teacher and student, is very similar to that of Yoda and Luke's moments in Empire and Jedi respectfully. However, the problem lies in the fact that not a lot of training is actually done, and instead the plot is more focused on Luke explaining on why, in his opinion, the Jedi need to end, and Rey having to come to terms with who and what she is and becoming, and that meeting your heroes isn't all cracked up to be. But she is not the standout in this picture. Ever the Mary Sue, and yes, she's a Mary Sue, you know, people will complain, but no, she is a Mary Sue. The Last Jedi does not offer a valid explanation as to why and how she is so in sync with the Force. As the main hero of this current trilogy, she isn't a very flawed or compelling one, okay? But that's probably because she isn't actually the main character either. The main hero, the main heroine, yes, but she is not technically the main protagonist, okay? She's not a character that actually goes through a lot of growth or change. No. That honor lies with Adam Driver's character, who returns as Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo. After having killed his father Han Solo at the end of the previous film, we have a more conflicted character that isn't sure anymore of what path he is taking, or whether or not it is the right one. Adam delivers a conflicted performance of a tormented boy trying to break away from his past and move on and become something far greater that will live up to the legacy of his grandfather, Darth Vader. And he has to make the choice of whether or not he is going to kill those he felt closest with ranging from his mother Leia to his uncle Luke and now Rey, who he creates a unique bond with that shows that he could walk a different path, perhaps a path that she could walk with him instead. The movie attempts to create a will he or won't she situation that does throw us for a curveball when it comes to whether or not both of these characters will end up on the same side or not, or become corrupted. But while Adam manages to portray that inner conflict that makes us curious as to what his final choice will be or will lead to, Daisy continues to act as a confident self, always being sure and never losing technically her morality of what is really right or wrong. And the difference between the two actors and characters just shows that Ben Solo is the one growing and changing into either becoming the hero that we and Rey want him to become, or the villain that he and everyone else sees becoming. There are many subtle touches to these unexpected changes and growths, and it makes him that much of a fun to watch. But the rushed attempt at creating a spark and chemistry between the two leads is something that could have used more time to develop instead of focusing on lesser subplots and characters that don't need the screen time. So yeah, this works and doesn't work, and it suffers because there's too much pointless shit in this. We don't need to see that. We need to see more of this. Focus on this. This is what's good and strong. Make it stronger than it already is. Christ. Mark Hamill returns as Luke Skywalker again and is given a far larger crucial role here than his cameo in the last one. Yeah, he definitely speaks a lot more in this one. You can be satisfied about that. The way The Force Awakens is focused on Harrison Ford's return as Han Solo as a sort of Obi-Wan inspired mentor to Rey. Here, Mark Hamlin's Luke Skywalker is given the Yoda treatment. While Mark delivers an engaging performance, many fans will be disappointed by the direction that Rian Johnson has decided to take his character into. If you're one of those people hoping to see the return of a powerful godlike being, then that is sadly not what Luke Skywalker's role amounts to, unfortunately. Instead, we have a self-exiled, broken-down, angry man who wants nothing to do with the world around him anymore, and to be simply left in peace. He is not the legend we assumed we would be getting, and Luke, as such, even makes fun at these stories and expectations that have spread about him. He is not a legend. He isn't even a hero anymore. He is simply a man, a lonely, beaten down, broken man who made a mistake and is now running away from it. His explanations and teachings that amount to the revelation in Luke's point of view that the Jedi were failures ever since their extinction at the hands of Darth Sidious is a viewpoint shared by many of us fans, and one that surprisingly manages to tie together the prequel era with the current one, not throwing away what came before, and making it clear the great consequences that it has had on the galaxy and development of many characters. Now, on one hand, this is an unexpected turn of events to take Luke's character into. It feels demoting by taking such a caring and a hopeful character and turning him into a grumpy and uncaring person. But this is a form of reality that The Last Jedi manages to achieve. When Luke and Rey come face to face in the beginning and Luke sees his father's lightsaber, the lightsaber he lost when he discovered who Darth Vader was, the lightsaber given to him by his first Jedi mentor, it obviously brings back so many memories he wishes to forget. Instead of feeling emotional, dumbfounded, and perhaps happy, he takes the weapon that has had a horrifying history and surrounded him with negativity, and he throws it away. Okay, the action is comedic, yeah, but one that speaks volumes about The Last Jedi's direction. It is Rian Johnson breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience and telling us to throw away all of our expectations because they mean nothing, and to prepare ourselves for something completely unexpected to what we imagined we would be getting. Then there is Carrie Fisher returning in her last and final performance as Princess Leia. After her untimely passing, all of us had questions as to how her character would be handled. Would she be killed off in this episode or simply write it out at the start of the next one? Well, none of those happen or have happened yet. Leia continues on through this installment and has more screen time this time around, showing us her leadership and motherly skills as her character grows in unexpected ways and delivers a fun and emotional performance that sees us sad to see her go. By the end of her journey here, one thing is made clear. Leia needs a proper conclusion in episode 9, one that sees her alive from the beginning and gives her a resolution worthy of the character. Carrie Fisher got a chance to shine and gave us a Leia that we want to see more of, and after the twists and turns that Rian Johnson takes with her, it only makes narrative sense that Leia be given the same shine. So yeah, there's also a special cameo appearance from a longtime character, I won't say who, though many of you have seen it, know what I'm talking about, that in a way concludes the relationship between two other characters that started many years ago, and it is one of the more beautiful and funny and unexpected scenes. It offers resolution to their struggles and failures as Jedi, and offers something unexpected and new in how the Force is used and could be used in the future, leading to an unexpected twist and powerful moment at the end that does bring back the Luke from old and reinvents the Force in such a way that in a subtle and symbolic way makes Luke the most powerful Jedi ever. It offers the possibility of older characters returning in unexpected ways, thus making the impossible into a reality for future episodes. So yeah, there's definitely a twist in this, and in my opinion it's a very good twist. Unexpected. Some will probably hate it, some will like it. I liked it, and it's something that was in the expanded universe, and it was sort of an old idea that George Lucas had, and they used it here, and in my opinion it works. So yeah, I'm curious to see how much more they will use this in the future. Other character standouts include Oscar Isaac as Poe, who is given more to do as he shows why he is the Resistance best pilot in one of the best openings and space battles to a Star Wars film yet since Revenge of the Sith, and is given his own character arc that revolves around when it is time to fight and when to run in order to save lives. That said, while he is given an arc that starts and ends in a satisfying manner, the writing that goes into it involving his personal conflict of wit and beliefs with another character called Holdo played by Lauren Drew is stupid to say the least. which brings me to some of the negative aspects of this movie. And don't worry, it's not a lot, but it's stuff that people have already mentioned and said, but it needs to be said here as well, okay? It needs to be properly debated and explained. So yeah, Holdo, or whatever you call her, like, I don't even know, Holdo is one of many pointless additions to this film that offer nothing but a pointless attempt at a twist and stretching the runtime as far as it can go. You assume a character is there to create problems for the Resistance and showcase how the younger members are more brave and right than the older, more political leaders. But instead, her character's quite the opposite, actually. Like, they don't really do that with her, which is surprising and nice. But yeah, the movie attempts to focus on introducing newer female characters instead of focusing on the characters we already have. And in doing so, we are forced to endure the presence of characters who are not very well developed. Holder's entire purpose is to simply create conflict with Poe that then ends with her character going out in one of the film's most impressive, visually spectacular sequence of surprise and silence that made my and many other fans, I'm sure, in the theatre have their jaws drop, okay? Just so Poe can learn the error of his selfish ways in order to make the right choice in the end. So yeah, Holder definitely gets a great moment, but yeah, it wouldn't be a problem if Holder's character had from the start simply explained why they were doing what they were doing, instead of withholding information that resulted in one of the most pointless subplots in the movie. And yeah, this is one of the biggest problems I have with the writing, like miscommunication. Like, they tried to create conflict, and it's like there was no need for it, and it would have resulted in something else not happening. But it's just like, why even do that? So yeah, like previous predecessors, The Last Jedi has multiple character subplots and journeys going all at the same time. The first two consist of Rey, because you got four storylines in this. You've got the first two consist of Rey and Luke's plot combined with that of Kylo Ren and Snoke's. Then there is the Poe and Leia and Holdo and Resistance, yeah, where they try to escape from the First Order, which adds a bit of urgency because it's sort of like a time limit as well, and that adds urgency and tension as these heroes try to survive, which leads to, in my opinion, my least and worst subplot, consisting of Finn, played by John Boyega, and newcomer Rose, played by Kelly Maria Tran, who team up with BB-8 and travel to the casino planet of Cato Bite to try and find a hacker to help them with escaping the clutches of the First Order. So yeah, that storyline wasn't all good, which leads me to more negativity. While John and Kelly give decent to fun performances that make Finn and Rose come to life and makes their relationship and chemistry together believable, and is for the most part the film's somewhat attempt at romance, because yeah, this actually does feel more like a romance than the attempts they make at the Kylo Ren and Rey stuff. The subplot feels like filler as a whole. Remember when you watch an anime and suddenly you get this whole filler arc that's just pointless and doesn't add anything? Yeah, this is what this feels like. Ironically enough, it does feel like a typical Star Wars adventure, and it does offer something new in terms of a casino planet, but the execution of it and the resulting conclusion of the subplot and the character's mission in the end is pointless, and nothing is achieved. If you're gonna give me filler, at least have it prove a point. This proves nothing. Time is wasted on trying to deliver a political angle regarding animal abuse and the rich exploiting both factions of a conflict by selling them weapons. It is an interesting angle, yeah, but to play, but it is one that was already done, and done very well actually in the prequel trilogy, with Palpatine's character playing both sides of the war and using it to his advantage to gaining power, wiping out the Jedi and becoming the Emperor and creating in the Empire in the first place. It was already done. We've already seen it. We don't need to see it again, because here, such a political agenda here is completely unnecessary and adds nothing to an already overstuffed movie that is packed to the brim already with various characters and more interesting topics of discussion and concepts. The worst thing about this subplot is the addition of this new character called DJ, played by Benicio del Toro. I was looking forward to this dude, and in the end, he's wasted here. His talents are wasted here. He basically plays a very shady character whose whole purpose here is to just deliver real-life commentary to Finn and Rose and to eventually, and obviously, stab them in the back. Like, this guy, you could tell, Like, he's basically meant to be sort of the Lando, but the difference between Lando is you like him. Like, Billy D. Williams had presence and character, and, you know, by the end, like, he proved to be cool. Del Toro here sucks. Like, he was just a pointless waste to this movie. One of the things I can say about this plot is that it does lead to one of the better set pieces, with Finn confronting a figure from his past that he needs to overcome. Captain Phasma, played by the wonderful Gwendolyn Christie. Yeah, I love Brienne of Tarth, but here she's just wasted, and she's nothing more than a cameo that has less than 5 minutes of screen time. Like the previous entry, she isn't given much to do here either, and the hopes of seeing a character attempting to redeem herself to the First Order after helping to lower the defense shield that resulted in Starkiller Base being destroyed in the first place is not brought up. This is brought up in the comics and the novels, I think, where they sort of do something with that, but it's not brought up here. No, apparently there was a deleted scene where it is mentioned, and she ends up killing a whole bunch of stormtroopers that Finn tried to convert, and we don't see that, and it's like, why take that out? Now, while the fight scene is cool, the overall conclusion and journey that Finn and Rose go on is overly pointless and fails to establish anything new in context that would have driven forward future storylines. A better idea would have simply been to have Rose as the hacker and help Finn, who obviously used to be a First Order member, sneak on board the enemy ship and actually achieve their plan, resulting in their capture, them getting tortured, only for them to have to escape and fight their way out. The entire Casino Bite subplot is all an attempt to add some form of realism to a fictional sci-fi world, and it just slows the whole film down. It's not needed. Don't add pointless shit to something we don't need. Come on, guys. Andy Serkis is one of the most talented actors today, and it is about due time that he is known for his motion capture performances. He has helped bring characters like Gollum and Caesar to life, and with Star Wars he's managed to add some personality into a character I would have liked to see more of now in Snoke. His first appearance in The Force Awakens raised the biggest question of these new movies, probably more so than whom Rey's parents are, and the answer to the big mysterious question continues to remain unanswered by the end of The Lost Jedi. Is it annoying? Yes, it is very annoying. But is it anything new that Star Wars has done before? No. Snoke is by all means this trilogy's version of the Emperor, who too didn't have a backstory given to him by the time Return of the Jedi rolled out. The audience back then had no clue who he was or how he got into power, and it wasn't until the prequels that his backstory was delved into. The same can be said for characters like Darth Maul or Boba Fett, who made appearances only for us to not learn anything about them until the prequels or Clone Wars came to give us such sidelined characters, to get, the character development that we wanted to see more of them. Snoke, for all intents and purposes, falls into the same category, but the biggest difference between him and the Emperor, for example, was that the Emperor was built up for 2 films, okay, before making his grand appearance in the third. Snoke has been here since The Force Awakens, and by the end of this one, we are still none the wiser as to who he could be, but that does not make for a disinteresting character, because Andy Serkis, he brings the character to life. From the way his throne room is designed, all red and stylish, to his golden rich robes he wears, to his cocky attitude and demeanor, and his showboating personality as he uses and plays with the Force to torture his minions like Hux and Kylo Ren and Rey even. We are given everything we need to know about who the character is as a person. A rich, overconfident, spoiled being who craves power and takes pleasure in just haunting others at all costs. And his interactions with Kylo Ren and General Hux makes him feel like an abusive father as he pits these, his most 2 trusted apprentices against each other like rival siblings. Seriously, watch it. It does feel like that, which actually adds a lot of depth to it, especially with Force Awakens and seeing how those 2 relationship is. That relationship between Kylo Ren and General Hux, played by Domhnall Gleeson, is further developed here as we wonder which of these 2 will gain the upper hand and become the chosen lackey to carry on the First Order's legacy. Which of them will betray the other first? It is a rival relationship that is very different from the more respected one that Vader and Tarkin had with one another in A New Hope. And it will be very interesting to see where this rivalry of theirs will further go in Episode 9. Will Hux or Kylo Ren stab the other in the back? Will one of them be redeemed, or will both be redeemed, or anything? Like, it's gonna be. I'm interested in that. Even though Hux is sort of like a punching bag for Kylo Ren, it's still interesting to see that development between the two. So while many will have found Snoke's lack of story disappointing, what about the biggest revelation of who Rey is then? Well, that particular answer is indeed answered, but for many this will be answered in very unsatisfying manner, with the answer itself also being unsatisfying. Personally, I didn't have a problem with it, as episode 7 did in fact provide enough hints that there wasn't much there to begin with involving Rey's parents. The problem, however, lies with the simple fact that failure to give a reasonable explanation to Rey's origins only makes her character's perfect actions constantly in both episode 7 and 8 annoying and confusing. Why is Rey so good with the Force? Why is Rey able to fire off a perfectly skilled warrior like Kylo Ren? Do keep in mind he was wounded at the time, but still, why? Why indeed? And it is a question that has plagued many for the last few years, and it's going to plague us even more and haunt us till the release of episode 9. With J.J. Abrams back in the helm, perhaps some of these lingering questions will be given more depth. But as a whole, I am content. It makes the Star Wars universe feel bigger instead of smaller. If they'd simply revealed that Rey's parents were famous characters, it solidifies Rey as someone unique and yet not unique at the same time, but with the potential to bring about change if need be, while further solidifying that Ben Solo, on the other hand, is indeed the true Skywalker of this trilogy, and that it is his story of growth and change that we are seeing. Which brings us to the action. As mentioned, the movie is beautiful to look at. The mix of props and visual work that have gone into have managed to create one of the best looking movies to date, with some of the best set pieces in Star Wars. The movie from beginning to end has many moments of bombastic action. The opening moments give us the Poe moment in space we never really got in Force Awakens, while also delivering the emotional angle of the Resistance versus First Order war, and how the good guys are willing to die for the greater good. Another gives us Kylo Ren in the pilot seat, and he showcases why he is their best pilot and why he is the heir to the Skywalker bloodline, as he impressively dodges in and out of attacks to catch his prey. For those of you expecting or were expecting a Kylo versus Poe dogfight, we don't get it, but hopefully we'll get it in episode 9. Seriously, I want to see that. There's a lot of things that this movie sets up that I want to see done in the next one. So yeah, then we have the beautiful visual world of Crate with a salt-covered ground and the red smoking visuals that almost look like blood and like a volcano as it erupts when it gets shot at and explodes up. And then of course, you've got the catacombs all red and beautiful crystal-like. It's amazing how when it comes to planets that Star Wars always delivers on that, because Star Wars, while at times has always basically copied previous planets by simply changing its name or showing different wildlife, it has always managed to deliver something new in them, whether from the way they shot the environments to the way the action was portrayed. When it came to exploring new worlds, it was always an interesting and fun part of the films to look forward to. Even Cattle Bite, despite its obvious real-world inspiration, is still beautiful and fun to look at and explore, including the creature effects. Star Wars The Last Jedi introduces us to create small and beautiful crystal foxes, a mix of practical and visual effects that inhabit the planet, and they do play a small but important role. Instead of just, being a background effect. Oh, look, there it is. No, they do play a small role. The same is said for the large horse Chihuahua racing creatures called the Famniads or the Fediads or the Feathers or something that Finn and Rose used to make a daring escape at one point in the pointless adventure. It is a pointless adventure, guys. It might be fun, it might be Star Warsy, but it's just pointless. But for the most part, it's creative. Instead of them just using a speed or a ship to escape, they use these creatures, and it's different and it's new. So it's not repetitive at this point. Then there are, of course, the cute and adorable little penguin bird-like progs that are only there to sell toys and market the movie to children. but nevertheless they offer a variety of basic comedy that got a good laugh out of me and the audience every time they appeared. And that is another thing to like about The Last Jedi. When it comes to the humor, this is by far the funniest Star Wars to date, which is very rare. I mean, comedy in a Star Wars movie? Really? Well, yeah, let's talk about that. The humor at the beginning, when it first opens between Poe and Hux, it does feel a bit too modern, what with the mama jokes and that. But after that, you get, I mean, it is funny. Don't get me wrong, you will laugh. But after that, there are a lot of better jokes and humor done. From the way certain actions are taken to the way characters behave and say their lines to more parody style of humor that pokes fun at the Star Wars legacy itself to the cause. To of course the cute big-eyed progs. The movie is funny and entertaining. It is a fun and entertaining time. It is one of the darkest Star Wars movies to date too, though. So yeah, there are plenty of dark and unexpected moments that are meant to be emotional. The humor never feels like it's used to distract from the serious moments, and for us, the tone is never all over the place. But when it gets serious, it does get serious, and while the movie ends on a hopeful end, it does actually feel very depressing considering where the characters are at that point in time. And for many, this will indeed be off-putting and cause some heartache. The question of what happens next is one that can't be easily answered. Nevertheless, Star Wars Episode VIII The Last Jedi defies our expectations. It throws us all for a curveball. It takes characters into unexpected directions and gives us answers that we didn't even consider or wouldn't possibly believe or still do, and fails to give us answers to other questions that have proven to be annoying, but not unexpected because they have been done before. While The Force Awakens was a nostalgic trip down memory lane, The Last Jedi is a trip down into a dark hole where the unknown awaits, into the dark abyss below, much like a certain set piece that strongly is used as the metaphor for the entire story. The past doesn't matter anymore, nor does the future. What matters is the here and now and the path ahead. Like The Empire Strikes Back before it, The Last Jedi tells us to forget everything we thought we knew and reconsider our own beliefs in the mythology up to this point, and to prepare for new and unsuspecting changes. It manages to balance its serious, fun and comedic tones to deliver on all fronts, an action-packed and yes, at times very slow, thought-provoking piece of storytelling. The actors do their best with the material given, and while there are obvious flaws with pointless filler subplots, terrible written character actions, and attempts at useless political messages, The Last Jedi is still by far a sci-fi piece that goes beyond the usual standards set by previous efforts. It breaks away traditions and offers a look at something vast to behold and reflect upon. Rian Johnson does his best to deliver his own unique take and vision, and while there are moments that one wishes had been looked at more carefully and changed around, it is still very much the film that he wanted to make and deliver. After various director problems arising on set production, troubles on the anthology films, Rian Johnson was given the time and space to, give himself and to us fans something different, new, and yet familiar to dig our minds and teeth into. It may have not been what he overall intended, and it certainly was not what we wanted, but it is what it is, and now the question remains as to how the closing chapter to the new trilogy will continue. Where will the characters go from here, and what will be discovered next? Because as the credits roll for The Last Jedi, with a touching tribute to our precious Princess Leia included, rest in peace, we are all left in the dark as to what the direction will be, because while there are certain setups and revelations, the path ahead surprisingly remains unknown and unpredictable. And that is rare to see for the middle chapter of a story especially. And usually you go into these and you know exactly where it's going to go from here, but here, no. There is no clear indication. This is not the best Star Wars to date, though there are many who will call it so. But this is not the worst Star Wars either, though there are many who will feel it is. But there are those who will accept both the positives and negatives and will enjoy it regardless. For some, it will be everything Star Wars should be, and for others, it won't be what they expected or foresaw. In the end of the day, everyone has a point of view, perspective, and opinions. In my overall opinion, this is a movie that indeed took risks by breaking away from conventions and fan service and just trying to be its own thing. And while it could have been better, and of course acknowledge the flaws, and I do acknowledge them, I as a whole enjoyed myself and had fun with it. It is certainly not my favorite Star Wars to date, but it is also not my worst, and I consider it more on the side of better made Star Wars films. If the movie is to be blamed for flaws, then The Force Awakens needs to be blamed for setting up such expectations and developments that, in the end weren't as deep as we presumed them to be. The Lost Jedi may not be a masterpiece, but it does what it can with the best it's got, and hopefully Episode 9 will manage to provide better answers and complete the stories set up in a tightly wrapped manner. I hope you enjoyed this review, and as always guys, good day, and like and subscribe. Please do comment down below if you want. I do apologize, it's a bit too long. Hopefully I can edit it down a bit, but if not, I hope you do have a good day. I'm screwing up here, and may the Force be with you. Take care and bye, guys.